I have to talk really fast. Good one, so it's okay.
All right, guys, we're back for round two for approving your open house conversion with the one and only Ron Lagashi.
I am the one and only. If you Google my name, I'm the only Ron Lugaska in the world.
There you go, the one and only.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. All right, so let's keep. You stop trying. How does that relate to our line of work, our business called real estate? Well, stop. Well, no action, no. Not cooperating today. All right. Yeah, let's keep this out. Okay, so.
Team, I am so incredibly sorry. I do not know what is going on. We're gonna have to get looking into this ASAP.
Say again?
No, it's you're going in and out. You don't see it, but it's kind of freezing a little bit.
Got it.
I'm very frustrated.
It's free, right?
Ron, you're muted. I don't know how that happened.
Sorry about that, guys. So we're going to talk a lot about strategy and how it kind of connects with what we're looking to do with our growth plans, with our GPS, with our 135s. So I'm going to just show you the next slide. I'm going to explain it a little bit. And it's about systemizing our lead gen levers. Open houses are lead gen activities, right? So if it's a lead gen lever, then how do we systemize it? Because we could be your traditional agent. What's your traditional agent do? They'll just show up to an open house, be there for 1, 2, 3 hours, and they'll leave. Okay, and that's fine, but yet there's a better way. And if we systemize it, that's how we improve conversion with our lead gen activities. Now, everything I say about open houses, we can actually use it for any other lead gen activity. We can use it for circle prospecting, expired, door knocking, sale by owner, sphere, whatever we're lead gen lever we're talking about, that we can systemize those lead gen levers in the same way. Any questions so far? No. Okay, awesome. Let's see. Come on, buddy. Oh, there we go. So has everybody seen this document before? It's called the 135 GPS growth plan, whatever you want to call it. No, you have not seen this document. Now we're in trouble. Okay. We definitely need to get you guys a copy of a 135. This is basically your business plan. This is your path. This is how you're going to succeed. This is going to tell you what you're going to do. It's also going to say what you're not going to do. So a GPS is it's an acronym for goals, priorities, and strategies. Now, it's important to understand how this connects to improving your conversion with your lead gen levers. This is our system. We're writing out our systems, right? So when we say, okay, my goal is, and my priority is, and let's just say we're talking about lead gen activities, and one of our priorities is open houses. Let's talk strategies. Those strategies are your system, right? And we're writing out our system for the open houses. And it's imperative because this, at some point, you don't have to change it too often because it comes automatic at some point. You do it again and again and again and again every single week in, week out. It becomes automatic. You can always improve it, adjust it, modify it. Yet ultimately, it's rinse repeat. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again. It doesn't matter what the property is, right? It's just like if we're calling expireds, this is our system. If we're calling for sale by owners, this is our system. For circle prospecting, this is our system. So it's about having systems in place, and you actually write out your systems. You write out what your follow-up looks like. You write out what your intentions are. You write out what your items of value are, and we're gonna get to all that stuff on the next slide. I just wanted to visually show you guys what a system looks like written down, and yeah, we can do that with our GPS, with our 1, 3, 5s. Any questions about that? Okay, awesome.
Can we get that?
And we'll give you guys, I'll make sure you guys get, before I leave, I'm gonna ask you for your emails. And I'm gonna forward you the, just a blank 135 for you to complete, okay? All right. There we go. All right, we're gonna spend most of our time on this one slide, okay? And it's, when we're talking about ways to improve conversion, for each of these individual things that we're gonna talk about will help you do that, okay? Now, at the very, very top of the list, we have mindset. Now, why is mindset so important to any of the activities that we do? Well, you can't really get positive outcomes from negative thoughts, right? You need to have positive thoughts to increase the likelihood you have positive outcomes. Yet our brains, the way they're wired, well, they mostly think junk thoughts, negative thoughts. I don't want to do this now, I'll do it later. I don't feel like it, not now, right? It's that little voice in our head. The one that just said what voice? So yeah, we have to kind of mind our minds. We have to tell that inner voice, self-talk, drunk monkey, whatever you want to call it, to kind of just be quiet, and you got to do what you got to do, because, well, we don't act on how we feel, we act on what we need to do. So mindset's important, and I will share with you that if you, while most people are not mind readers, I would say nobody's a mind reader, most people know what you're thinking. Even if you don't say it out loud. I'll give you guys an example. Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody that you just knew wanted to get out of that conversation? Maybe even ourselves, right? We were the ones that wanted to get out of that conversation. Well, how did you know if they didn't say anything? How did you know? You're talking to somebody and you just know they want to get out of that conversation, but they didn't say so. So how did you know? Right, 93% of our communication is body language and tonality. If their leg is 1 foot out, if they're looking to the side, if they're looking at their watch, they don't want to be in that conversation. That's what they're thinking. I don't want to be in this conversation. And they're communicating that via body language and tonality. If you do not want to be at that open house, your guests will know that you don't want to be at that open house. Does that improve your conversion, or does that hurt your conversion? It definitely does not benefit you, okay? It will decrease the likelihood that you'll be able to convert that particular prospect consumer into a client. So mind your mind, right? Another thing that is really, really important is intention, and it goes back to our GPS, it goes back to our business plans too. What is our intention? What do we want to get out of doing this lead gen activity called open houses? What do we want to get out of it? And you want to get buyers, and maybe a seller too. You know, by all means, we can obtain seller leads from open houses as well. And it's from one simple question. We're going to get the scripts in a second. Yet when we ask that one question, do you own or do you rent? And they say, well, we own. What's the follow-up? What's the follow-up to we own? Well, do you, out of curiosity, do you need to sell that home in order to buy a new one? Why, yes, we do. Ding, ding, ding. Congratulations, you have a listing appointment. If you never ask the question, you will never get the answer, right? And the majority of agents don't even ask that question. Do you own or do you rent? It's a simple question. It speaks to motivation. You'll be pleasantly surprised where the conversation takes you. You have to ask the question, right? So let's go back to intention for a second. When we have intention, I want to get one buyer lead, I want to get one seller lead out of doing this open house. We have that intention, okay? Our brain is looking for those opportunities. That's why intention is important, because when we have intention, it increases the likelihood that what we're looking to obtain actually happens. That's what makes intention important, right? So when you do lead gen activities, including open house or anything else, what is your intention walking into? What's the outcome you're looking to obtain? It's important. I'll also add, what is your intention walking into this class? Because if you have intention walking into this class, you might actually walk out with what you intended on obtaining from the class. What is your intention when you pick up the phone? What is your intention when you walk in through your front door at the end of the day? What is your intention? Because that, when you do anything with intention, it will increase the likelihood that outcome actually occurs, right? So have intention. It's important. I will also add that we want to be specific about our intention, put a number to it, especially when we're talking about lead gen activities. When we go back, can I go back here? Yes. When we go back, you want to put a specific number on how many open houses you're doing, on how many expires you're calling, on how many doors you're knocking. Put a number to it. Be specific, because now all of a sudden we can prepare, right? We can prepare for the whole year, for the week, for the month, for the quarter, for the year. We need to prepare for those things, right? So intention, mindset, all very important stuff. Let's go back to the scripts. We kind of mentioned it a little bit. Your traditional agent has a script. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that there's better. Your traditional agent, they say something like, welcome to the open house. Thank you for coming. Take a look around. If you have any questions, let me know. That's a script. That's what I hear often, right? When I walk into an open house, I don't say I'm an agent. So it's a script. It's not the best script. What is the best script? I always recommend all agents internalize this one script. It's called the pre-qual script. All right, pre-qual script, 6 basic questions. Acronym for it is LP Mama, right? It's a script that you're going to use across all platforms. It doesn't matter if it's a sign call. Doesn't matter if you met them in an open house. Doesn't matter if it's a referral. It doesn't matter where if you met them on the street. Pre-qualification script, that's the one script you really need. The other script you're going to need to have, you'll kind of create it on your own, as the buyer consultation script. Those are really the 2 scripts you can focus on. All the other scripts handling objections, common objections, I think while they're important, they're not as important as these 2, because these 2 are kind of like the foundational ones, right? So the pre-qual and the buyer consultation are the 2, and you're going to use your pre-qual script here at the open house. Now, as part of your system, if you want to improve conversion, when you start with the script is up to you. It's all very personal. I'm not going to say that my way is the best way ever. I'm going to say that you can create what provides you the best conversion, because we're all different. So do you want to start outside? Do you want to start as soon as they walk in? Do you want to start it in the kitchen? Do you want to walk them through the house? The timing of it is up to you. There's no right or wrong. It's just whatever's best for you. Yet use the script. Ask them, you can get to it. Obviously, I like to ask, where are you visiting from? Where do you live? It's a simple question. It's 100% response rate. Everybody always answers that question, and it gets you into the actual script. Oh, we live in Fort Lee. Oh, great. Well, how long do you live in Fort Lee for? Oh, we've been here for about a year. Oh, do you rent? Oh, we rent. Yeah, we just moved from Seattle, and we just had to find a place. Oh, okay, great. So you're looking to pay your own mortgage, not somebody else's mortgage. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. And you're just looking in this area, or you're looking in any other towns? You see, you lead them, and it's a casual conversation. It doesn't sound like a script. So it just kind of provides you all the answers. We're already face to face with that prospect, so we might as well obtain all the information that we can possibly obtain. And then, of course, at the very end, you can go with the close. So when works best, weekends or weekdays, and just go for the close, go for the appointment. So scripts are important. That's really the one major one. Handling objections or market conditions, you can kind of do that on your own. It's obviously your own research. Honestly, a quarter of my day is probably research. I'm not just following up, creating appointments. I do a lot of research, a lot of preparation, so that I'm ready for those conversations. So I always recommend agents, encourage agents to know their market stats, and know what's going on, and know the activity, and even go see all the homes. And we're going to talk about that in a second too. So sign-in forms. There's a lot of different kinds of sign-in forms. There's a lot of digital forms. There's QR codes. There's the old paper sign-in forms. Use whatever you like. Just have it as part of your system. And I would also add, same thing as with the script. When do you have them sign in? Do you have them sign in outside, as soon as they walk in the kitchen, after they're showing? No right or wrong. It's just part of your system. Everybody that walks in you're gonna have them do the same thing over and over and over again, doesn't matter who it is, right? Because that's your system. You're always gonna make modifications to your system to improve it, to improve your conversion. It's a numbers game. We wanna improve our numbers, so. And I do wanna talk about numbers, because I did forget to say something, and it's about perspective too. Let's talk about numbers for just 1 second here. Many agents, okay, they do open houses, yet they don't do it consistently. Consistency is key, and it's also key in understanding that you don't always get a very good lead from every open house you do, yet it is a numbers game. I said that again, right? I hear many agents say, oh, you know what, I did an open house, didn't get anything out of it, not doing it again. 2, nothing. 3, nada. 4, zilch. You know what? I finally did a 5th open house. I finally got a piece of business out of it. Yet it was a lot of work, a lot of energy, a lot of time, and I don't see the benefit in it. Well, let me just take a step back for a second. I'm going to change your perspective around that for a second. If I have intention to do 40 open houses a year, you could also do 100 a year, every Saturday, every Sunday, 100 a year, 52 weeks. So if you did 40 open houses and your conversion, right, we're talking about numbers now, your conversion is every out of 5 open houses, you get 1 piece of business closed, and you do 40 open houses, well, that's 8 pieces of business, 8 transactions, and around here it's probably $600,000-$700,000 a house. Well, congratulations, you just capped. Like, that's what consistency will do for your business. That's what a 1 out of 5 conversion, if you're doing it consistently week in, week out, will do for your business. Oh, and by the way, you still have 6 days to do whatever you want. It's not so bad, right? It's about perspective. So it's okay. Now, I'm not saying also you can't improve that conversion. We're talking about improving conversion. How do I improve my conversion from out of 1 out of 5 open houses to 1 out of 4, to 1 out of 3, to 1 out of 2? You can definitely improve that conversion by improving your skill set, by improving your systems, by improving your tools, by improving your follow-up. That's why we're here. So I'm teaching this class because I wanted to give you a different perspective on things. It's not just about showing up to an open house and saying, okay, maybe we'll get a lead or something, and then we'll leave. No, there's different factors that can come into play, different skill sets that we can utilize that will improve our conversion. So this is about skill set. So sign-in forms, yeah, there's all different kinds. You want to use the MLS one, use the MLS one. I always recommend having the ability to obtain their address, because then you'll get more seller leads, right? And you'll have their address, and we can talk about that. They don't give you the address. Again, you don't know where they live. You have to kind of stalk them, go to the tax records, check the last names, all that fun stuff, and then somehow send them a note card or whatnot. So yeah, obtain as much information as you possibly can. Items of value, let's talk about that. Items of value is important, and it's part of our systems, items of value. And it doesn't matter, again, if it's an open house, expired, for sale by owners, circle prospecting, sphere, items of value are important. What items of value are we providing those leads, those prospects, right? So when it comes to open houses, many agents, they have food and beverage. Food and beverage is an item of value. It's a physical item that I'm giving somebody, so it is an item of value. And it could be stuff like this, right? Like pens or magnets or keychains or whatever with your name and branding on it. That could also be an item of value, because again, you're giving a physical item to somebody. Maybe it's information. Maybe you're giving them a list of other open houses or other homes that are available in the neighborhood. There's different kinds of items of value that we can provide the consumer, client, prospect, whatever you want to call them, buyers, sellers. There's an item of value that I don't see at open houses. I like to utilize them. It's called, I call it a buyer's packet. I have a branded folder to our group. On one side, I have a home buyer's guide. On the other side, I have what an offer looks like. It's a sample blank offer. Is that an item of value to a potential buyer, especially one that's never bought a home before? Yeah, of course it is. Now, I don't give it to everybody. It's a lot of supply. It's a lot of, it costs a lot of money to print that out. But not me. It costs. There's a tall guy, bald, glasses. He pays for all that stuff for me. But it does cost a lot to print all that stuff out. And so I don't give it to everybody. If I have a very high level connection with somebody, I'll give it to them. Everybody else, I can just email it to them. And then that's a part of our follow up too, part of our system. We'll get to that in a second. So there are items of value, I see raised hands, I just noticed that, I'm sorry, hold on for a second. Vanita, you had a question, and then Deb, we'll get to you after. Question?
Yeah, Ron, you
Yes.
said we can give the other open, if I'm doing your open house, I can give the list of other open house to the clients?
Yeah, and then even I would even add to that, and when you go to the open houses, here's some of my cards, you can just give them the card and they won't even make you sign in, how great is that?
So is that legal? Like, because I'm doing open house for
Yeah.
you and I'm giving them the more.
Listen, as long as you're not selling them drugs, I think you're okay.
Okay,
You know, I think that if you give them a piece of paper with a list of addresses, I think we're pretty safe, we're not violating any laws.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's it's an item of value because information can be valuable to a consumer, to a prospect. And they meant, what are they doing? Let's put ourselves in the shoes of that consumer. What are they doing? They're going online, they're just like, they're just looking for open houses to go visit. They're very likely to miss some because the way that it's set up online is not very clear. You know, it's a lot of times that they're in boxes, like you go to a Zillow or a Realtor, they're in boxes, you can easily miss one. So if you give them a list of open houses, just line by line by line, I think it's of value to them. Now, there's something to understand about items of value in general. There's a reason that we want to be intentional about our systems and our items of values, because the goal here is to be top of mind. Now, how does it keep us top of mind? Well, they're going to half a dozen open houses, they're meeting with a half a dozen agents, and then when we look to reach out to them, communicate with them, we're looking for a response rate. You ever try to reach out to somebody and they ghost you? Like that never happens, right? Right. So we're looking to improve that response rate by when we do reach out. Oh, you're the agent that gave me that magnet. You're the agent that gave me that list of open house. You're the agent that shared that cool app with me. You're the agent. You're the agent. You're the agent. You see how that keeps us top of mind? That is the goal for items of value. That's what items of value do for our response rate and our conversion. So that's why it's important. Deb, you had a question? I didn't forget you.
Yes, just when you were referencing to like the buyer's packet or buyer's guide, you had cut out a little bit. What is it that you include in that?
So the buyer's packet, it's a folder. You could get like a branded KW folder or branded to you. We have one branded to our group name, and then on two sides, there obviously is two sides to a folder. On one side, there's a printed out home buyer's guide, and on the second side, there's a blank offer, just a sample offer for them to review. Now, the home buyer's guide, you know, you can create that in Command, or you can have one of the transaction coordinators provide it here in the office, and for Janine can do that for everybody here.
So you understand the importance of having a list of open houses, but then don't you get scared if the client go to a different open house, they meet a different agent?
And that's okay. Listen, they don't need us to find homes. They don't need us to find open houses. Think about it that way. They don't need us to do that. They can look up online and go to the open houses. We're looking to provide value. So we're looking to be different than the other agents. And it doesn't, by the way, it doesn't take a lot to be better than the majority of agents out there. You do one little thing, you're better than 90% of the agents out there. You do one little thing, you're better than 95% of the agents. I say it all the time. You do this, you'll be better than the majority of agents out there. The majority of agents are just not that skillful. They have not mastered, you know, the level of expertise that you can easily do just by doing these small little things. So just doing these small little things, you can definitely just, you'll definitely be better than the majority of agents. And the consumer, what do they think? What do they think? What does the consumer, what does the public think when they hear the word real estate agent? What do they think? They're all the same. Doesn't matter who we work with. Now, so it's our job to change that perspective. So it's our job to show up better than the rest. And you really don't have to do much to do that, because the rest are just average. You want to be an average agent, or you want to be an above average agent? You want to be an ordinary agent, or you want to be an extraordinary agent? And by the way, there's very little that you need to do to be extraordinary. We always say, well, if 90% of agents don't do buyer's consultation, do a buyer consultation, you'll be better than the rest. If 90% of agents don't pre-qualify, well, just pre-qualify, you'll be better than the rest. And if 90% of agents don't tell their clients what happens next, well, just tell them what happens next. You'll be better than the majority of agents out there. And if we know that the majority of agents don't call listing agents to obtain information, well, all you have to do is pick up the phone, ask some questions, and you'll be better than the majority of agents out there. It's like these small little things that will just make you better than the rest because the rest aren't doing much.
But they're on top, how can they not do what you're telling us to do?
You know what? Even as a new agent, you can be better than somebody that's been in the business for 30 years. And it's gonna come down to the last thing that we're gonna talk about, it's expertise. Agents get lazy. I don't care how long you've been in the business for, you can be a new agent, you can be way better, you can have a much higher level of expertise very easily than somebody that's been in the business for 20, 30, even 40 years. That's all, you can also do more transactions than they did in their 30-year career in 1 year. I know agents like that. So let's keep going. So follow up, I got a whole slide, a follow up right after this one. The one thing I want to mention about follow up right now is that the majority of agents, again, have not mastered the skill of follow up. It's something to improve upon. I'm just going to say it politely. And what you need to know about follow up is if you can still arrive at your goals by not following up. So it's a choice. Follow up, what it does to our business is it will need less leads to arrive at those outcomes. You can still arrive at those outcomes if you don't follow up, you'll just need more leads to do it. You understand what follow up does to your business? So it's a choice at the end of the day, how consistent you are. Obviously, what follow-up system you want to select for yourself, there's no right or wrong, it's just, you know, whatever works best for your conversions. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. You know, music, it's a pretty simple thing. You know, if you've ever done open houses and there's no music or there's nothing in the background, it's kind of boring. If you have music, it's a little bit more of an enjoyable setting. It's a small thing. Get a Bluetooth speaker, probably what, $100. It makes it a little bit better for them and you, I think. Lots of signage. We're going to be strategic also with the signs in a second. I talk a lot about strategy, about open house selection, about signs. So we're going to talk a little more about that on the next slide. The signs, it's a simple question. Well, how many signs do you want to put out for an open house? And if an agent tells me, okay, great, well, I want to put 2 signs in front of the house, I want to put 2 flags in front of the house, I want to put 1 sign on every turn, but 2 signs if it's a major street. I'm like, okay, great, then you need at least 8 signs and 2 flags. Yeah, well, do you have 8 signs and 2 flags? No. I'll say, okay, what has to happen next? Well, I need to buy them. I was like, great. Good news, it's an initial investment, they last for years. Bad news, they're kind of expensive. It adds up, especially if you're buying 8 signs and 2 flags. So it's going to look the same. Your open houses, they, you know, every single time you do an open house, they look the same. It looks the same to the degree where if there's, and there's always people that circulate week in, week out, they go to the open houses and they just, you know, over time, you'll see the same people. If you're doing the same neighborhood, what happens is those very people, they'll know that you're in the open house before they even walk in because you set up your signs the same way every single time, right? So, and I get that a lot because I go crazy with signs. So I have 16 signs and 4 flags and a welcome mat, and just everybody knows that I'm in there before they even walk in, or even if they're just driving by and I get a phone call and they say, oh, you were doing the open house. I was like, yeah, because it's consistency. You're doing the same thing again and again and again, where it's a branding thing, and they're identifying the fact that you're in there just by seeing what your signage looks like, how you set that up. So being strategic is important, being consistent is important, and also what time you put the signs up. Do you put it on right before the open house, or do you put it on the morning of, or do you put it the night before? The only thing I gotta add to this is, well, some towns, they don't allow you to put any signs, right? Like absolutely none. And some towns say go crazy. There's no limitation. You can put it unlimited, right? So just know the local town rules and regulations. You don't want any signs to be taken away by the police department. It's not fun. Just know the rules. But again, you got to think about that as part of your system. How many signs? When am I putting it on? How am I setting this up every single time I do an open house? It's important. It's part of your system. Now, I saved the best for last. We spoke a little bit about it. I'm going to talk about more about it, and I'm going to give you as an example. So, expertise. how does expertise benefit us? How does expertise benefit the client? Well, there's two types of conversations, right? Deb, you had another question?
Yes, I'm sorry. How early do you put up the signs?
So I put up my signs by 9 AM in the morning, and then I go to my meetings, because I don't like to worry about it. And plus, obviously, you get some eyeballs on it too. And I think it just benefits us as agents, I think, when we get more exposure. So why not? The town that I work in, I sold 19 homes in this one town last year, 21 homes in the same town the year before, so I'm very hyper local. And you know, I like to get as many eyeballs, and even if they're not coming to the open house, just know, hey, we're here, you know, I'm here. So for me, it's important to, especially to be doing open house over, and again, it goes back to strategy. Let's just say, Deb, what town do you live in, Deb?
Franklin Lakes.
Franklin Lakes, okay. If your intention was to do 40 open houses a year and 30 of them were in Franklin Lakes, what would that do to your business in Franklin Lakes?
I would bring it up.
Yeah, because who's coming to these open houses? People that want to buy and sell in Franklin Lakes. And that's part about being strategic. So when we're looking to conduct an open house, even if it's not our listing, you look at your office inventory, you see who has active listings to run open house, and they're not conducting an open house. Today's a great day, it's Thursday. So you can call up those agents and say, hey, listen, can I conduct an open house on Sunday? Just put a post at the MLS, I'll take care of the rest. Obviously, so being strategic is important. So we're prioritizing. So whether we're doing open houses, expires for sale by owners, door knocking, farming, whatever you're doing, we're prioritizing. So we're looking for Franklin Lakes. We can't find a Franklin Lakes, maybe we'll go to Wyckoff. We can't find a Wyckoff, I don't know, maybe we'll go to Oakland. They all share the same high schools, right? So we're prioritizing our niches. We're looking to build expertise in a particular locality, or even it could be even a product, by the way, but in a certain area, we're prioritizing. So how does it translate to the other lead gen levers? What if I'm calling expires? I'm calling these towns first. And if I'm calling for sale by owners, I'm calling these towns first. If I'm door knocking, I'm doing door knocking in these towns first. I'm circle prospecting, I'm circle prospecting. Do you see how you can be strategic with our lead gen levers to help you create a niche or be hyper local? So we can be strategic about it as well. We're going to talk more about that in a second. As far as expertise goes, there's two types of conversations that can occur when somebody walks into an open house. One, your traditional agent probably hasn't seen the inventory, probably doesn't even know what schools are in the area, probably doesn't know where the transportation is. That's most agents, because they don't use this. There's a new invention. It's called Google, and they don't take 10 minutes to actually look up the population size, where the transportation is, and where the schools are, because I don't know. They just don't, right? So they don't have that information handy. So so that conversation is more like, you know, they're telling them what they're looking for, right? The consumer, the prospect, the client might come in and say, I'm looking for this, this, and this. Great. I'm going to go to my computer. I'm going to check for you. I'm going to send you an email. That's what that conversation sounds like when there's no level of expertise. Now, let's look at scenario number two. You know the area really well. You have seen physically all the competing properties, or even all the inventory in that town. Physically, you know the layouts, you know the pros, you know the cons, you know how many offers they have, because you did a little bit of footwork. Oh, and by the way, there's no town that has too much inventory. Many of these towns in Bergen County, they don't have single digit inventory. How long can it possibly take to see the inventory? An hour, 2 hours? You can do it very, very quickly. And if you've seen all the inventory, are you an expert in the inventory? Yes. So that's all it takes, a little bit of legwork, a little bit of prep work. That conversation is much different. The quality of that conversation is much higher, right? Because now all of a sudden, that consumer, that prospect, that customer walks in and they say, I'm looking for this, this, and this. Well, you know, great. Based on what you're telling me, I'd recommend seeing properties A, B, C, not properties X, Y, Z. One works best, weekends or weekdays. The quality of that conversation, the conversion on that conversation is so much higher. Yet it does require something from us called preparation, called a little bit of footwork, a little bit of legwork. Most agents don't wanna do it because I'm not gonna say it, you can, yeah, I know what you're thinking. I'm not gonna say it out loud. Anyway, so, it's a different type of conversation, and expertise doesn't take a lot of time, energy, and effort. It really doesn't. It just takes a little bit of your time and some consistency. I think if we're consistent, like, how many homes are in Harrison right now? You live in Harrison, right? Yeah,
Yes,
so how many homes are in Harrison? How many are active? How many, there can't be more than like 8 or 9, right? So it's like,
less,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. So it's like, so how long would it take to see 5 homes? Not only that, after we've seen the initial batch, it takes even less effort to go see the new ones. Why? Because there's only like 1 or 2 a week, maybe, if we're lucky. The rate at which new listings are hitting the market is incredibly low. In my neck of the woods, it's only like 2 or 3 a week. So it doesn't take too much effort to see the new ones week after week after week. And if it's part of your job description, if you've decided this is part of my job description, I'm gonna see all the inventory all the time, I'm gonna be an expert, just see it week after week, and just that 1, 2 houses a week. It's real easy. Most agents don't do it. That's why if you want to be better than the majority of agents out there, you want to be an extraordinary agent, an expert agent, just go see some homes, and do it consistently, and you'll be better than most. Because the most of them don't take the time, and including the ones who've been doing it for 20 and 30 years and 40 years. They don't know. And you know what happens when you don't see the inventory? Well, you don't use it, you lose it. And what happens is they don't know what's going on in the market. They don't know how to price a property. You will be able to price a property better than somebody who's been doing it for a long time, because you know what a buyer is willing to pay for any particular property. You can develop that special ability. You can walk into any house in that niche, in that area, and you'll know what somebody's willing to pay for that property. Does that help you on the list side as well? Of course it does, because when you meet with sellers, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, based on my 5-minute walk throughout this house, I can share with you that a buyer would be willing to pay X for this house. You'll have that special ability. It does require some consistency, some discipline from our end. That's it. That's all it takes to become an expert. Just be consistent over time. It'll probably take you a few months to really get the true hold, to develop that special ability, to be able to price something out, to know what somebody's willing to pay. And of course, there's always market changes, right? This is less buyer activity, more buyer activity. It also depends on pricing strategy. Well, it'll also improve our ability to communicate strategies to our clients as well. Right? If something's overpriced, you'll know, where the majority of agents don't know, because they're going to, online and look at comps, and I can tell you something about comps. They're not accurate. They're very deceiving. They won't tell you what a buyer is willing to pay for a property, but you'll know. You're basically a walking comp, because you know all the properties, you've seen all the properties, you know how much they sell for. That's the special ability you can develop if only if you actually devote the time, energy, and effort, and be consistent with learning that niche. Okay. When I'm working with some coaching clients, that's one of their homework. And if they don't know the inventory, the active, and if they haven't seen the inventory, I'm not meeting with them. Like it's that important. It's that, and it does a lot of things for our business. Obviously, it improves your confidence level when you're speaking to a client. They can tell. They can just tell just by talking. You don't have to say I'm an expert. They know you're an expert. You're different than the rest of the agents. You're better than the rest of the agents. Just go see some homes. Any questions?
About the signs, so you say you put them out at 9 a.m. in the morning, so what about having a time so that guys don't come in, at 9 a.m.?
Most of the homes that I do are actually vacant houses, so I'm not worried about it. I tell the owners though, hey, listen, I'm putting my signs up early. If anybody comes and knocking, just tell them the open house is 1 to 4. We do have these riders 1 to 4. I can do a better job of putting them on the signs. Just I don't know, I was rushing to put the signs out and go to my appointments. So you can definitely put a rider on the sign outside if you wanted to. That's another option. There's always a solution, right? I think that putting it out early does benefit me compared to putting it right before the open house. It's a simple question. What's the better way? It's better to put it out earlier. Let's go. Let's go next. All right. So we spoke. Let's go, Woody. All right. Yes. I do a lot of vacant houses. A lot of times they're missing stuff. and it's something as simple as paper towel and garbage bags and tissues and sanitizer and whatever, right? So I always have a bag ready in my office. I keep it in my car most of the time too. It just depends. If I shifted it over on the Monday with the signs, I always put the signs back in the office because I don't like to leave it in my trunk. So, you know, I'm done with the open house and I'll return the signs at some point. And when I go in the office, I'll just put the open house bag in. Now, that open house bag, it allows me to do something with it. What it allows me to do is actually, if you told me right now, hey, Ron, can you do an open house in a half hour? I could go, I could like actually just print out customer reports, take my open house bag and go do an open house, right? So it's just being prepared. And a lot of times it does happen where I'm out on appointments and the appointments, the showings take a little bit longer than I expected. I'm so happy that I just have everything ready to go and I don't have to go back to the office and whatever because I still don't have the time for it. So it's just, it saves a lot of, it gives us peace of mind. So have like an open house bag ready, some small stuff that people kind of don't bring with them that might be useful. It's some small stuff, like sometimes it's measuring tape, right? Like people always ask us, especially in New Jersey, we don't have floor plans on most of these listings. So if you have a measuring tape handy, is that helpful? Yeah, of course it's helpful. And you know, if you have a charger for your phone and your laptop, I know it sounds like it's a simple thing, but the last thing you want is to run out of battery on your phone in your open house. You can't go, you can't leave. You want to make sure that you have an extra charger for your phone, you have an extra charger for your laptop. You just want to be prepared. And I'm a big fan of being prepared. So have an open house bag with some items that you know that you're going to be using in all likelihood, and you're just good to go. Right? Any questions about that? Anything that you guys take with you to the open houses, like flashlights or any special items that you find useful?
Pepper spray.
I actually spoke to an agent yesterday. I was coaching her. I went to their office and I was coaching her, and she said I took a taser. She you know, because the area that she was doing the open house in was a little shady. So yeah, I can understand that. You know, I think that I don't really have any safety concerns when I go to do open house or do showings, but I can understand that you'd want to keep yourself safe, and yeah, you should take all precautions for sure. Being alone in an open house, especially on an empty house, yeah, you want to take precautions. You want to take care of yourself, right? So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that you can take. Just make sure you have it in a bag ready to go. It's a simple tip. You don't have to follow the tips, by the way, or the values. Ultimately, it's each of our businesses are individual businesses. And you can choose how to run those businesses, right? I go backwards. All right. So let's talk about just like simplifying it, right? Strategy in general, right? We're selecting the best property. Again, we're being strategic. We're being strategic with our selection. And when I say it out loud, all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Will you get more activity from a just listed property, or will you get more activity from a stale property? Oh, well, we definitely get more activity from a just listed property. And same question, will we get more activity from a just reduced property compared to a stale property? Yeah, we'll get more activity because that's the goal. We want to get leads, right? Unrepresented buyers and sellers walking into these open houses. So be strategic with your selection. I will also recommend being strategic with the location and the price point. If you want to improve or increase your sales price average, would it benefit you to be strategic with the price points of open houses that you're doing? So instead, if you do an $800,000 open house, who's coming to that open house? Buyers and sellers that want to buy $800,000. You're doing a $400,000 open house, who's coming to that open house? Buyers and sellers that want to sell it for $400,000. So be strategic with your selections. Going back to what we said before about being hyper local and creating a niche for yourself, location is important. Look for those locations first, prioritize those locations. So you may want to be around Harrison, or I don't even know what it sounds like. What's around Harrison? I don't even know what it's around. Kearney, yeah.
North Island.
I do not show homes out there. I'm very hyper local. Like I don't remember, like there's a lot of towns that you would say, like I don't show homes there. I don't go that far. It's the people that I meet don't even go that far. So it's like, each agent, you'll find that they can create their own kind of like area, right? And of course, if you go 2 hours away to Point Pleasant, that's fine too, right? It's down to choice, but I'm at a point where I'm just not gonna do it, I'm gonna refer it out, it just makes more sense. So be strategic with your selection. You definitely want to advertise it. It will improve the likelihood you get leads out of it. You might as well, put it all over social media, even boost it, pay for it. Via Command, you can do paid leads. It does benefit you. You do get leads out of it, so you might as well do it. Obviously, you have to create the flyers, the postcards. You can do all that stuff through Command. You definitely want to maybe send the emails out to your sphere. Let them know what your activities are. If you have their contact information, why not? If it's something that they're interested or the family members might be interested to reach out to them. So there's different ways to improve the likelihood that we get. Let's press there. And of course, preparing for the open, it's not just the signage. Don't forget to confirm it with the owners. Last thing you want, I know it's a small little thing, but you don't want to be showing up at 1 o'clock on a Saturday or Sunday, in the owner's home, and they're like, "What open house?" We don't want that. Definitely confirm with the owners. If you're doing it for somebody else, have them confirm with the owners. Make sure that they know that there's going to be an open house from this time to this time to not be there. Has anybody ever had anybody just had the owner just sit there the entire?
I
Yeah,
had one.
I like.
With a dirty sink full of dishes.
Yeah.
They sat there and watched TV.
Yeah.
And this was in Fairlawn. And we had 50 plus people coming through the open house and seeing the mess. It was so bad.
Though, and how much is that worth? And it can be worth thousands of dollars, by the way. You can easily, if somebody's doesn't have a presentable home, it's a little messy, it could cost them $10,000. Like it could cost them a lot of money. All they need to do is just fix it up a little bit, right? Declutter. So it's important. So get everybody on the same page. Confirm that they are aware that they need to be out of the house, especially if they have pets. Right? A lot of owners have pets. If they're moving for certain hours. You can also instruct them as to what to do. You can tell them, hey, listen, open up all the windows, turn on all the lights, open up all the doors, so that when you walk in, it's all good to go. Now, I could also do it, and I tell them, hey, hey, listen, I'm gonna turn on all the lights. I'm gonna open the doors. I'll shut them off when I leave. The way I found it is the way I'm gonna leave. Is that okay? Yes, great, wonderful. Communication is key, right? Get everybody on the same page. Let them know. Again, previewing the homes is important. In the neighborhood, the comparables, know what's going on so that you can convert at a much higher level. So you actually sound like an expert. All very important. And then of course, last but not least is follow-up. All right, let's talk about follow-up. All right, some postcards and stuff for door knocking. Obviously, you want to take it next level. Yeah, you can circle prospect and door knock before or after. You can tie it into different local events. People go crazy sometimes, and obviously I've seen food trucks and ice cream trucks before. It's kind of expensive. If you're gonna go that big, you better be pouring some money into some extra advertising. It just makes sense. You can have sponsors come in. Obviously, there's different sponsors that'll come in and pay for this, pay for that. There's different ways to actually get some of this stuff paid for and get leads out of it. So let's talk about follow-up. So most agents can improve the follow-up. Let's just leave it at that. You don't need an overly complicated, complex follow-up system. It really doesn't need to be. It can be something very simple. It's where you've decided, okay, the first week I'm going to communicate in these ways this many times. That's really what it comes down to. The second week, this way, this many times, and every week after, every month after, this way, and this many times. And it could be simple. I just give a 3-2-1. I just write 3-2-1. How about 3-2-1? What does that even mean? Well, this means that 3 touches in the first week, 2 touches in the second week, 1 touch a month thereafter. It's an easy system. I'm not saying use it. It's just an example. If you want 4 touches or 5 touches or 8 touches in the first week, or you want 8 touches in 8 days, or you want 10 touches in 10 days, whatever that looks like is okay. Just be consistent. Every lead that comes in, do this. That's what a system is, right? And now we can be consistent with it. So if we're going to reach out 4 times in the first week, what does that look like for everybody? Well, maybe it's a text, right? As soon as they leave, or even before they leave the open house, you're sending them a thank you text. Especially if you want to check their phone numbers, you do it before. Did you get my text? Yeah, I just got it. Great. Now you know the phone number works. See how that works? You can send them a thank you text, you can personalize it, you can put emojis. Think about different things to improve your response rate. Every little thing that we do and say improves or doesn't our response rates. So it's a text and then maybe a phone call, maybe a note card, maybe an email. I like to send the intro email out. And I attach the PDFs to it, the home buyer's guide and the offer to it. So it's what your touches look like is up to you. Just know what your system is, because when I ask an agent, well, what's your follow-up system? They can't answer that. They don't have a follow-up system. But if an agent says, well, first I do this, then I do this, then I do this, then I do this, that's your system. The question is, can you answer that? If you can't answer that, then you might want to work on that. And if it increases your awareness level around it, then that's great. Then I think I accomplished what I was looking to accomplish. Have a system, and then every single lead that comes in, do this. Is it adding them to the, is part of your, it should be, by the way, is adding them to prospecting, so they get properties. Is that part of your system? It should be, right? Because now all of a sudden they're getting automatic emails as soon as the property comes out. Are you sending that intro email? When are you sending it? Are you sending it out Sunday night? Or sending it out Monday morning? When you do things is also important, not just how you do. So think about that. Just, it's important. Does it help us improve our conversion, converting these customers into clients? Right, because that's what we're looking to do. They're customers when they walk in. We want them to be clients. So it's important. And the response rate. Listen, guys. The majority of leads that come into open houses, they're just like if they're internet leads or they're coming from anywhere else. The majority of leads are not ready, willing, and able to do business now. They're not ready to buy or sell now. That requires some nurturing, that requires some follow-up. Right? It is what it is. So yeah, just different ways, different methods. Any questions?
So why do they go to open house if they're not ready to buy?
Say again, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
So why do they go to the open house if they're not ready to buy or sell?
If they're not ready to buy or sell and they go to like, so,
Yeah.
okay, let's go back. I don't know if you guys ever took with Win the Buyers. There's 3 different, I guess, phases that a buyer is in. There's the discovery phase, there's the decision phase, and there's the action phase. Many buyers are in the discovery phase for a long time. Until they make the decision, that's it, we're buying, we're getting a pre-approval letter, you know, and then turning to the action phase, which is actually seeing homes and submitting offers. It takes a long time for a lot of buyers to get out of the discovery phase. And that's okay. That just requires follow-up. And you may have to follow up with them for a year, 2 years, I don't know. Yet if we stop following up, they'll just work with somebody else. Even if they are ready, they might work with somebody else if we don't follow up. So you want to be on top of everybody and everything. How you follow up with them is important. And we discover how much time, energy, and effort and how to follow up with them when we ask questions. That's why the pre-qual question is so important. It's a simple question. In a perfect world, when would you like to move into your new house? It's not a yes/no question. It's an open-ended question, which requires an answer. Right? So they might say, well, next year, in 4 years when my kid graduates high school. I don't know. It's all very personal. Yet if we don't ask the question, we'll never get the answer. And they will answer your questions. They always answer the questions. It's very rare that somebody doesn't answer questions, especially when you're looking to help them out. Any questions from Zoomland before we end? I think we're good. We're right on time. I was very punctual today. I'm not usually punctual. Usually I go over.
How about they put the wrong emails and phone numbers when we follow up?
Right, so sometimes they have sloppy handwriting, so it's just a case of where I can't tell if that's a 3 or a 5, or you know, with their emails, especially those are longer. Ask. You're already face to face them. I guarantee you, if you ask them, is that a 4? They will say yes. You can also, I also would like to text them before they leave the open house. Did you get my text? Yes, I did. Now I know the phone number works. When it comes to the emails, ask. It's important because once they leave, it's going to be that much more difficult to get the right spelling on that one. Especially if they don't answer the phone. If they answer the phone and you say, "Oh, my email bounced back. This is what I have." You know, you can get the email that way if they actually answer the phone, text, whatever. But and obviously, they're responding to your text messages or phone calls, then it's an easier way to obtain the info, but if they don't answer, then you're never gonna get the info.
Thank you.
Any last questions, concerns, opinions, comments before we end the day? Okay, I guess I covered it really well then. All right, guys. I want to thank you guys for being here. If you ever have any questions, I always welcome those phone calls, those emails, those text messages from you guys. I always answer. I'm always very responsive. Just reach out if you need anything. I'm here for you. In the meantime, I do want to wish everybody a great Thursday. Be well. Let's get back to work.
Thank you, Ron. Everything was great.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
My pleasure.